Good morning, Pokemon trainers, and welcome back to Day 2 at the Sheffield Regional Championships 2018. We're here for Day 2, Top 8, after an intense day of 8 rounds of Swiss yesterday. I'm Luke Romy, I'm joined once again by Rob. How are you feeling here for your debut of the Day 2 event?
Yeah, I'm really excited, because we got a really good matchup for you here again. We're going to start this Top 8 with Jens Maekinen from Norway against Jamie Dixon from the UK.
So we featured both these players yesterday as well during their Swiss games. Jamie had an incredible set. He managed to become the victor, and poor Jens, he always says how he's doing so well in a tournament until we put him on stream, and then unfortunately he's not able to clutch out that victory. That happened again yesterday. Maybe today will be the day he breaks that curse.
Yeah, and we saw yesterday as well that Jamie had a little bit of an issue with his team, with his Scarf Tapu Lele, speed tying with opposing Metagirls. But unfortunately for him, Jens is not running Metagirls, so there's no issues there. So that helps him a little bit there.
Exactly, but he is running that Nidoking.
Yeah, he is running that Nidoking again, of course. It's kind of his Pokémon. That's why he's known. And yeah, he's doing so well with it again. He's really consistent this format, which is really impressive because he's a relatively new player as well.
Yeah, he certainly is, making a name for himself at the Oceania International Championships, where he finished runner-up in that tournament. And you know, he's done so well consistently as well, just always sort of making those top 32s, top 16s, and now he's here in top 8 here in Sheffield. So he's going to be trying to make a name for Norway out here in the Sheffield Regional Championships. Yeah,
and he's going to aim to get as many points as he can, because he's again one of these players that is in the run for Day 2.
He's at 18th right now, isn't he?
He's 18th at the moment. So if he just gets a little bit further in this tournament, he can secure maybe his Day 2 spot today. So that's definitely
that's
a
like
good
the cherry on top as well, isn't it? If you've got your invite to the World Championships, huge congratulations, what an achievement. But if you're one of those Day 2 players as well, then you can sort of come to Worlds here in Nashville, Tennessee this year. Day 1, you can check out the competition, enjoy yourself, relax, and then jump into Day 2 straight away. You don't have to have those Day 1 nerves.
Yeah, exactly. And you get to see like what is used in Day 1, how can I adapt to that, and yeah, it's a little bit of scouting. Yeah, and it helps you a little bit. But we're gonna jump straight into team preview here. Yep. So I'll let you name them on.
Let's have a recap on these amazing teams we saw yesterday. Jamie Dixon is running Tapu Koko, Kangaskhan. I've got the little mega pin here representing, and we've got the Landorus, the Tapu Fini, the Incineroar, and the Braviary as well. Whereas Jens is going for that Nidoking, Milotic, Salamence, Rotom Wash, Incineroar, and Kartana.
Yeah, so we've seen both these teams on stream already. Quite some interesting picks. Of course, from Jens, it's the Nidoking that springs out. But I think as well the Rotom Wash. We didn't see that on stream yet. It's a really interesting Pokemon that's been used a lot in 2015, but we haven't seen it a lot at all in this format.
No, very true. It sort of had its lovely parental bond ability kind of reduced in the damage output from the little baby. I believe it went from a half to a quarter damage that it can deal out. So people haven't used it as much, but you know, Jamie did showcase yesterday, particularly with sort of damage output it can do with frustration and everything as well, same type of attack bonus, how strong it still is.
Yeah, and I also want to point out this other water type, Milotic, which seems to be in a really good spot against Jamie Dixon's team, because he has got the double Intimidate, and he's only really got the Koko to really threaten this Milotic. So I'm really sure that we're going to see this Milotic from Jens' side. And I really think we're going to see the Nidoking as well. Just a combination of Milotic and Nidoking, because you got Nidoking to shut down the Tapu Koko on Jamie's side, and you got the Milotic to shut down the double Intimidate. So I think that's going to be something that Jamie wants to play around to make sure that he doesn't activate that competitive ability.
That's very true. If that Nidoking's around as well, we've seen obviously it doesn't worry about Intimidate, it's running special sets with Ice Beam and things, and Sheer Force Life Orb, that can deal a huge amount of damage. So Jamie is going to have to watch out for that coming out. But here we are, Jamie and Jens, they have shaken hands and they are jumping into this first top 8 game. We will be streaming 3 out of 4 top 8 games here in Sheffield. We managed to sneak in the extra game just for you guys, as this is the last regional of the European Circuit for 2018 season. Jumping right into this game though, Jens is bringing the Nidoking that we see him trust by his side so long, and it's also that Milotic, whereas Jamie has gone for Kangaskhan and Tapu Koko. Yeah,
so that's interesting. Like, I already identified the 2 big threats on Jens' side, and he just straight away leads with it. Which is kind of in an interesting position right now, because the Nidoking is assumed to be slower than the Kangaskhan and the Tapu Koko as well. And Milotic doesn't get the boost yet. Jens may be hoping to catch potential Landorus lead, potential Incineroar lead, but Jamie's not going to fall for that trap yet. Yeah, of course, it's really scary to just lead your Intimidate against a Milotic in team preview. Then, yeah, so he doesn't go for that yet. But I mean, he has got the fake up pressure here, and Milotic doesn't want to take a Gigavolt Havoc. But as we saw from the previous games from Jamie, he's got that Calm Mind Tapu Koko. So I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe tries to set up a Calm Mind here.
Exactly, maybe call the bluff of Jens a little bit there, as Milotic so heavily pressured by this Tapu Koko. He might utilise the switching opportunity here to potentially go for a fake out into the Nidoking and then set up that Calm Mind.
Yeah, so we see Jens taking his time, because on the one hand you can't really allow this Tapu Koko just really set up, but on the other hand you don't want to take a Gigavolt on your Milotic, of course, as well. But Jamie has that fake out pressure, so we're going to see which one is he going to fake out.
Yeah, well, Nidoking going for Protect, predicting that he might well be the target of this fake out, doesn't want to take any chip damage. And Milotic going for a Protect as well, so Jens going on the defensive, just wants to scout out what Jamie's going to do and potentially burn this fake out. Kangaskhan does go into that Nidoking, and it is going to be the Gigavolt Havoc coming out from Tapu Koko, so Jamie going on the defensive. The double Protect there from Jens is going to negate the damage that this is going to deal.
Yeah, so if you're Jamie, it makes sense to go for the Gigavolt in a way. If you look at the rest of Jens' team, he doesn't really have a good switch in into this Gigavolt Havoc. So he maybe was trying to just catch him off guard, because it was obviously kind of a good opportunity to Calm Mind as well. But Jens just playing it safe, making sure he double protects, doesn't want to take this Gigavolt, which is still going to do decent damage to this Milotic. And it should put it in range for another Thunderbolt.
Very true, it does about a third damage there, and obviously with electric terrain up, like you were saying, another Thunderbolt will still do a huge amount of damage, particularly if he can get one of those little Calm Minds up.
Yeah, but now Jamie kind of has to choose then, because the Tapu Koko is really important for him in this matchup. And if Jens decides to save the Milotic, maybe switch it out into something like Incineroar, to just take the Thunderbolt, then the Nidoking can just retaliate into the Tapu Koko with a potential Sludge Bomb or an Earth Power. So it's really important for him to really think through this turn, because I think Tapu Koko is for Jamie, it's a really important Pokemon, especially with that Calm Mind ability. It offers a lot of pressure, and he needs to keep that around.
Exactly, he doesn't want to lose it. Like, he may get some good damage onto that Milotic, but it could be at the expense of losing Tapu Koko to that Nidoking. And I think that's what Jamie wants to do, preserve it in the back, just like you said, and save it for another day. So it comes back, and we see Bravery come onto the field for the first time in this Sheffield Regional. We didn't see it the last time he was on stream. And Salamence comes out as well, but thanks to the speed of Tapu Koko being so quick, it managed to switch out first. This Intimidate is actually going to work against Jens, as the Define ability of Bravery has activated. It's going to get an attack boost rather than be affected by that Intimidate. Kangaskhan, though, is mad at being affected by the Intimidate itself and is going for Frustration into Salamence. It's going to do a huge amount of damage as Milotic goes for an Icy Wind. So going to catch both these Pokemon with this, going to lower the speed a little bit, so that Jens will have that speed advantage on his side, but he does still have to worry about the boost from this Bravery.
Yeah, and now he's going to boost him again.
Yeah,
so the Bravery is actually boosted by, I think that's 3 stages now. Because of the Icy Wind, you get 2 stages of attack increase. So the Bravery is really powered up right now. But it did lower its speed, so the Salamence should definitely be able to outspeed it. Maybe the Milotic as well. So the Bravery is still really threatened. And what we saw in Jamie's match in Swiss, we saw him switch a lot of his fake out around, but he doesn't really want to switch in Incineroar into the Milotic as well.
No, very true.
So even though Jens boosted his Braviary a lot, he's still not in the worst of positions, because from this range, a return or double edge from this Salamence should be able to pick up a KO. And I think if he just does that, combined with Icy Winds, Jamie can't really switch in his Intimidate either.
No, that's very true. Like you're saying, you sort of want the Intimidate in to negate the damage, but you're then going to help out the support Pokemon on the other side of the field. Whether it's Milotic or Bravery, they've got those abilities that are going to boost themselves up. Bravery, though, maybe realizing it is going to be a little bit of a target here, goes for the Protect as Salamence goes for Return. Going into the Bravery slot, so good Protect from there as Milotic goes for Scald, choosing to target down the Kangaskhan this time, potentially going for a burn to really negate some of the damage, but does not get it. Kangaskhan still mad, goes for Frustration into Salamence and will pick up the KO there with a critical hit. Baby Kang didn't even need to do any work.
No, and I'm not sure if the critical hit mattered, because of course Salamence does get an extra bit of bulk when it Mega Evolves. But maybe in the greater set of things, Jamie probably didn't want that KO, because we saw he had Sucker Punch as well.
That is true.
So if he didn't pick up that KO, we could have just locked in the Salamence, and his Braviary would have maybe been able to set up a Tailwind, potentially KO this Milotic. But now Jens gets in his Kartana. But again, Braviary isn't really threatened at all by this Kartana. But maybe a double up from Milotic and Kartana could be problematic for this Braviary. And Kangaskhan is at -1, so it doesn't really offer a lot of pressure anymore.
Very true. Jamie might want to switch that out to reset the Intimidate on it, but Bravery as well, we haven't seen the item on it yet, and we have seen in the past maybe a Supersonic Sky Strike tends to be the choice there.
Yeah, we haven't seen Braviary yet in the earlier streams from Jamie, so it's still kind of a mystery what what he's running. We did see the Z move on Tapu Koko already, of course, but he could be running a dual Z move. That's definitely possible.
Exactly. Well, speaking of Z moves, we have one coming out from the Kartana that just joined the field from Jens. It is going to be that Bloom Doom, the Grassium Z being activated, and as Kartana has not been intimidated, this is going to be at full force.
Yeah, so I wonder which one is this going to target. Is he going to double up in this Braviary, or is he going to just go for the KO into the Kangaskhan here? So we're going to see which one it targets. And I'm
the
pretty sure,
Bravery.
he's just going to go for the double up into the Brave here. I really have no idea how much this is going to do. And it does a lot,
yeah.
but it doesn't do enough. But from the Icy Wind, yeah. And we see the Icy Wind again, so that should pick up the KO.
Yeah, so Jens just really wanting to get rid of this sort of ultra boosted, as it were, Bravery, and it will be getting the KO thanks to the Icy Wind connector. That could have been a little bit risky potentially if Icy Wind had missed. Maybe Skull would have been just that sort of 100% safe play. But Kangaskhan here able to fire off another frustration into Milotic, proccing the berry though. So Milotic's had a good little turn here, got the Icy Wind KO, and now it's got its berry activated.
Yeah, exactly. But on the other hand, Jamie just gets a free switch in his Tapu Koko right now, which is again in a really good spot. Yeah, so we already saw the item on Jens's Milotic. That is that Super Citrus. So he doesn't have to worry about any kind of Adrenaline Orb. So I'm assuming that maybe he has something like a Landorus or Incineroar in the bag, and he can finally switch that in now to intimidate this Kartana and just go for a Thunderbolt into the Milotic.
Exactly.
Especially because this Kangaskhan is already at -1 stages of attack. And it's not really going to do a lot to this Kartana at all, because most Kangaskhan's carry low kick, and Kartana is really lightweight.
It's
so
very frail.
Yeah.
Very frail and light. And as well, Kartana could be packing that Sacred Sword, and you know, if it gets the KO on Kangaskhan, it's going to get that Beast Boost, and I don't think Jamie wants that at all.
But on Jamie's side, you still really have to worry, because 2 Leaf Blades from Kartana are still going to do a lot to this Tapu Koko and should be able to pick up the KO. So Jens is preserving his Milotic here.
Yeah, switching out that Milotic from the Tapu Koko, bringing in the Nidoking, which will obviously not be affected by any electric attacks coming its way. Jamie is going to go for a switch though, bringing in the Landorus at perfect timing, seeing as Milotic is off the field, doesn't have to worry about that competitive, and will actually get the Intimidate onto both of these Pokemon, crucially on that Kartana though, so it can't deal out as much damage. Thunderbolt going into Nidoking, going to be doing no damage, as Kartana does go for that Leaf Blade into Tapu Koko, does a huge amount of damage with a critical hit.
Oh, that's a really big critical hit there. Wow.
A Leaf Blade, one of those moves that has a high crit chance, and Kartana got it at the crucial moment and gets a Beast Boost to boot.
Yeah, so really good read there by Jens. You realize that if Jamie wants to switch in his Landorus to intimidate his Kartana, he kind of has to Thunderbolt on Milotic, because he really has to be worried about boosting it with a competitive boost.
100%.
So he just covers that with a Nidoking switch in, and I think he was just hoping to maybe two-shot this Tapu Koko with Leaf Blade, but instead he gets that critical hit, and that puts him in a really good spot here, because he's just up 3 Pokemon to 2 now. And the Kartana is just looking really strong against both these Pokemon that are remaining on Jamie's side.
It really is. So it's got that Beast Boost, and now it's back at neutral damage. Can apply a lot of heavy pressure to both Kangaskhan and Landorus with sort of Leaf Blade or Sacred Sword, but just wants to go on the defensive here, going for a Protect, as is the Nidoking. So it's the same play we saw Jens do when he was last facing down a Fake Out from Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan does go for Fake Out into the Kartana, has burnt that now, as Landorus goes for an Earth Power, the special Landorus from Jamie Dixon, targeting down that Poison Ground type.
Yeah, so that's interesting, because it is a special Landorus, and we saw that the SSE move. No, we didn't see a SSE move, but I think we saw as a Choice Scarf.
Yes, I think it was the speedy one.
So that's still going to do a lot of damage to this Kartana. So that's still a good Pokemon to have in the bag. And this special Landorus should also be able to pick up the KO on this Nidoking, I suppose. So Jamie still has some options here, but he probably has to predict the right switch-ins. Because if you're Jens, you kind of need to save your Kartana, because at this point, it might be able to KO the Kangaskhan from here. And I don't think we saw Protect on this Kangaskhan either.
No, I don't think that's been revealed as of yet. So if Kartana is able to get that Sacred Sword out, it's going to be able to pick up a KO. But Kangaskhan has gone for the Sucker Punch going into that Kartana. Even though it does have good defense, you can still see how frail Kartana is. It takes that amount of damage. As Earth Power this time, thanks to the Choice Scarf, is going to connect on Nidoking and pick up the one-hit KO, removing Jens' signature Pokemon straight away from this battlefield. As Kartana does go for the Sacred Sword, targeting down that Kangaskhan. Is it going to be enough? It is! And Jens is able to get a KO in return onto Jamie's team there. So now you're looking at a +1 Kartana versus this Landorus. It's locked into Earth Power. I know Kartana doesn't have any special defense, basically. Do you think Earth Power could be enough at this stage?
It could be. With the Sucker Punch damage as well, it could be enough. But then, of course, Jens still has the Milotic in the back.
He does have that Milotic in the back. Good switch out early to preserve that.
Exactly, and especially because this is a special Landorus. Milotic has a lot of special defense. So if you're Jens, you probably don't even want to risk the Icy Wind. You just want to go for Scald, maybe.
Exactly.
And he's just going to protect this Kartana here.
Earth Power is not going to do anything to Milotic, really. And unfortunately, that is what Landorus is locked into. We will see how much it will do here. It does tiny bit of damage. Milotic going for the Icy Wind though will be single target, so that little bit of extra boost. And obviously maybe he just wants to negate some of the damage of that Choice Scarf, and damage the speed of it, just trying to lower it so Cortana can pick up the KO, which he can easily do now. That Icy Wind did so much there. Yeah,
definitely. That puts Landorus now in range for Cortana to just pick up the KO with Leaf Blade, because it's now going to be faster as well with the Icy Wind drop. And we see Jens pick up the KO here and just win game 1 here in a really intense set.
Yeah,
and
really
well
intense.
played by Jens and Jamie as well, but that's a critical hit. That was a big turnaround in this game.
That's sometimes what Cortana can do for you. It's one of these Pokemon we do see sort of rising in popularity, then dropping down a little bit more once people can counter it. Because we've mentioned it's such a frail Pokemon, it can easily be countered. Anything that's even remotely fiery will just take it down. But if it's a Pokemon that isn't so strong in the metagame at the moment, it can rise up in its popularity and start, sweeping as it does so well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and if you're Jamie, I think your matchup plan was okay. He made some right plays there, and he just that critical hit, just that little bit of luck that he missed there in game 1. So I wouldn't be surprised if he just kind of goes with the same mons again. I think his selection was okay. I don't think you really want Incineroar or Tapu Fini in this matchup. Especially considering the Pokemon that Jens brought on his side.
And the Bravery I thought was a really great choice, particularly as that Milotic likes clicking that Icy Wind button. That can also work against Jens' strategy. Yeah,
and it's funny because of course Jamie got that critical hit on the Salamence from Jens' side, and that was actually the critical hit that he did not want at all. So there's like 2 critical hits that didn't really go in his way. I think if that did go his way, then he would have been in a way better position. So I don't think he has to change up a lot of his game plan. But it's still kind of the interesting kind of mind games here, because you have the Nidoking, which really threatens the Tapu Koko, and then you have the Milotic on Jens' side to really threaten these Intimidate Pokemon. It's really difficult for them to play around it, especially because Jamie's team is so built around switching a lot.
Yes.
And this Milotic really prevents that from really.
So you can't just bring in Intimidate freely, and nor can Jens to a certain extent without Bravery on the field. But I think one thing these players did really well in that game was they sort of protected the Pokemon that they needed to utilize. Jamie got his Tapu Koko out early on in that game, so he knew he needed that for the Milotic potentially later on in the game. And Jens equally knew that Milotic was going to be crucial for him in the end game, so switched it out and protected it from Tapu Koko later on. And I think it's sort of looking at that end game position and looking at the remaining Pokemon on your opponent's side and thinking, how am I going to beat them, is exactly how Jens managed to clutch that out.
Yeah, and I think from Jamie's side, I might want to see like a Landorus Tapu Koko combination. Just threaten the Nidoking as well as the Milotic.
Just straight away. Well, it's going to be Kangaskhan Tapu Koko for Jamie Dixon, whereas Jens has gone for Milotic and Cortana, so switched out his Nidoking up straight away here.
Yeah, so an interesting lead again from Jamie, because on the one hand you have to fake up pressure and you might want to go for Calm Mind. But it's kind of risky, because if Jens is reading into that and maybe goes for an Icy Wind, you just put your Tapu Koko into maybe a Gracium Z range from this Cortana. But again, Jamie is also in a position where a Gigavolt Havoc is going to pick up the KO on either of these mons. But he's got to worry about maybe potential Nidoking switching as well. So I wouldn't be surprised here if Jens is probably maybe just going for the Double Protect again, just scout out a little bit.
That's what he likes to do when he's facing down Fake Out from this Kangaskhan. But if you're Jamie, there are so many different calls that you could be making now, and it's all going to come down to which one you think. You've got to get into your opponent's head as much as well. He's got to think, what is Jens going to do here? Is he going to go for that Double Protect like we've seen him doing, or is he going to go straight into the offensive, catch me off guard, and I'll maybe lose my Tapu Koko before I get a chance to use it? You can see the seconds ticking down. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, he's using
Jamie
all of his time,
because
he realizes how important this turn could be. Because if he calls this correctly, that could be such a big
lead. Make or break the game.
Definitely.
100%.
He doesn't. It's like he only has the Nidoking switch into this Gigavolt Havoc, so he really has to be careful. And we don't see a protecting Jens' side.
No protects. Jens going completely opposite to his game 1 strategy as Fake Out goes into that Milotic, and it is going to be a Z move straight off the bat. Going to be the Gigavolt Havoc from that speedy Tapu Koko going first. This has got to be going to that Milotic and getting rid of it straight away.
Or is this going into Cortana, which would be a really good play as well, because with the Fake Out pressure onto Milotic, it could just be in a regular Thunderbolt range.
Well,
and
it could go
this Cortana is
turn.
not going to be able to take a Gigavolt Havoc at all. So it really depends on what kind of slot Jamie's going to target here.
We will have to find out. It is going to be that Cortana. Wow. Having seen that is the Bloom Doom variant, you know there's no Focus Sash there, and it will pick up the KO. So Jamie getting retribution on that Cortana from the first game that picked up the critical hit. And Milotic, of course, flinching. Like you said, this turn now, he is free to start Thunderbolting that slot.
Yeah, exactly. And this is just what we're talking about. This big turn 1 with the Tapu Koko pressure. And Jens doesn't switch in his Nidoking. He doesn't go for the Double Protect either, which he did in game 1. And Jamie just calls this turn correctly and picks up such a good lead right now, because he just puts the Milotic in Thunderbolt range as well. So he can just switch in any kind of Intimidate again, because this Milotic is just going to be covered by this Tapu Koko here.
Exactly, that Kangaskhan's free to switch out, reset the Intimidate the Salamence just put onto it, and Jamie can start bringing out more Pokemon, starts maybe getting set up with his Tapu Koko and threatening more damage. Of course, Jens is free to maybe switch out that Milotic, bring his Nidoking back in if he has got that Pokemon in the back.
Yeah. And I don't think we've seen like all the moves from the Salamence yet. So maybe he could carry something like Tailwind, and he could bring in the Nidoking. That could be really threatening. Because I think we only saw a return from it yet. So it could also be maybe a potential setup Salamence, maybe Dragon Dance. But I think we're going to see an Intimidate switching from Jamie here.
Yeah, we are likely to see some setup at some point in this game, whether it's Calm Mind, Dragon Dance, or even possibly Tailwind. But Landorus is going to jump in. I think Jamie's doing exactly what you said earlier there, Rob. He can bring in Intimidate as freely as he likes because he can apply pressure on that Milotic. So even if it gets the boost, Tapu Koko's not going to worry about that. It can go pick up a KO in its electric terrain as well. Salamence here going to be getting itself into its Mega Evolution form. We're going to be taking up into the sky. As Tapu Koko does go for a Thunderbolt, going to target down into this Milotic. Is it enough? Oh, it's not quite enough.
Wow.
Milotic hanging on there, this brave little waterfish here, getting its berry activated, taking up to 50% damage. As Salamence does go for a Dragon Dance, so the first setup is here in play. It's Salamence locking in, going for an attack boost up, which is going to, I believe, now negate that Intimidate it took from the Landorus as the Icy Wind comes out. So poor Landorus here, this is a Pokemon does not want to take any Ice type moves at all. And actually, I think that was a critical hit.
No, because the Milotic was boosted,
of course. It got the boost, of course.
Yeah, and we see Jens's face. He wasn't sure if his Milotic was going to live that, and he was so relieved that it actually did. Because now he not only gets off the Dragon Dance, he also gets off this big Icy Wind on the Landorus on Jamie's side. And that's such a big turn. And now it kind of depends on what kind of coverage this Salamence has maybe. Because if it maybe carries something like Earthquake, it really threatens this Tapu Koko now. Tapu Koko, after one Icy Wind, should still be able to outspeed the Milotic. So that's still one thing that he has to keep in mind. But he should, it's just really good that survival happened, because the Landorus took so much damage from that.
It really did. I mean, I thought it was going to be completely KO'd there, but, you know, we saw Milotic clinging on, we've got Landorus clinging on here now as well. But if this Salamence, now that it's back at sort of neutral damage, can pick up the KO on this Tapu Koko, then Milotic's going to be free to keep in this game a little bit longer. Jamie getting his Landorus out, though, and bringing in his Kangaskhan. It's going to be returned from the Salamence, going into that slot, wanting to pick up the KO on whatever was switching in. Does a huge amount of damage to Kangaskhan, as Tapu Koko does go for the Thunderbolt. This time, is able to pick up the KO and remove that Milotic from the field.
Yeah, but he took a lot of damage with the switching into this return. So yeah, you kind of have to wonder if Jamie still has the resources left now to beat this Salamence. Because it already has one Dragon Dance up, and we see the Nidoking next to it as well, which is still such a big threat. And even though Jens is down with 2 Pokemon, he's still in a really good position, I think.
He certainly is, and this Nidoking can come in, apply pressure to this Tapu Koko. The thing with Jamie, though, he does still have all 4 Pokemon remaining. If he can maybe switch things up, he's got his Landorus in the bag that does have its Choice Scarf still intact, but he does have to worry about this Salamence. It's only, I think, at 9 HP, and Salamence is a +1 speed thanks to that Dragon Dance.
Yeah, so it should be outspeeding that Scarf Landorus. So Jamie is kind of running out of options here to deal with the Salamence, and especially with the Nidoking next to it. I think it's just a really good call for Jens to just go for the return, pick up the KO on this Kangaskhan. Maybe first go for Double Protect, maybe scout out a little bit. Because then the Nidoking pressures the Tapu Koko, and you got the Salamence pressuring everything that's next to it, basically.
Exactly. Salamence could rise here to take this set for Jens, but we will have to find out. Tapu Koko switching out, going to be Bravery coming onto the field. So Jamie revealing he brought this Pokemon as well. He's gone for the same 4 that he brought in Game 1. As Kangaskhan goes for the Fake Out, this time connecting into that Nidoking, doing about 1/3 of damage here. As Salamence goes for another Dragon Dance. Jens playing so bold, so bravely, and just boosting up this attack stat as high as it can go to this Salamence. I mean, it could still go up a few more, but it's trying really hard at the minute.
He's playing very bravely, but he also brings in his Braviary on the other end. And yes, but now his Salamence is at +1 attack and at +2 speed, so it's really threatening here. It should be able to pick up the KO on this Braviary. But I think if you're Jamie, there's still definitely a way you can win this, and it all comes down to trying to set up Tailwind on this Braviary side. And we saw the Fake Out damage onto Nidoking, so he basically has to call, because of Frustration should be able to knock out the Nidoking.
Yes.
But he also has to protect the Braviary, so he really has to call which target this return is going into.
Well, return from Kangaskhan, or Frustration's not coming out. It's switching back out, and it's going to be Landorus coming in once again, just to fire off an Intimidate against the Salamence, negate that Dragon Dance boost that it did get previously, and Bravery just going for the Protect. So Jamie maybe doing some scouting out, or just protecting this Pokemon for this turn. Salamence does go for the return, connect into that Bravery, as Nidoking goes for an Ice Beam. Going into the Landorus, though, that has switched in. Jamie, I think, not too worried about that. The Landorus couldn't really do too much, unfortunately, and it has now been KO'd, giving him the free switch to bring something else back in now.
Yeah, definitely. And now the good thing for Jamie is that he now has a Fake Out pressure. So The Salamence is back at neutral attack, which means I think the Braviary should be able to take a return at this kind of HP. But it's already at +2 speed, so even though if he gets up to Tailwind, Salamence is still going to be outspeeding this Braviary and this Kangaskhan. So he really has to pick the right fake out target here. And maybe he has to call as well a Protect from Jens' side or not. Because we haven't seen if this Braviary is faster than the Nidoking. But it should be naturally faster. Which means that there's an option for Jamie to just go for the fake out onto Salamence and maybe pick up the KO into Nidoking if Jens is predicting a Tailwind. So this is going to be a really important turn here, and Jamie just locks in, and we're going to see what's happening.
Yeah, going for the fake out, and I think Tailwind would be the best option for him. Going into the Nidoking again, fake out doing so much damage on its own. As Salamence goes for Rock Slide, Braviary does avoid. You can see Jamie sort of celebrating that moment there. I think it was a little heart and mouth moment when he saw Rock Slide come out. It's going to be the Tailwind option from Braviary, so boosting up the speed on Jamie's side. That was the play that he wanted. He's managed to get that off thanks to Braviary dodging out of the way of those rocks.
Yeah, and this puts Jamie in a really good spot, because what he can do now, he can Sucker Punch this Nidoking, basically force it to protect. And he can go for an attack with the Braviary onto Salamence, doing a lot of damage. And basically I think Jens has to hope for maybe a Rock Slide flinch here on this Braviary. Because with the Tapu Koko in the back, I'm not sure how much Dazzling Gleam is going to do to a Nidoking, but that could do a lot of damage.
Yeah, I
but
mean,
then again, we have a Rock Slide Salamence here at a lot of speed, so anything can happen at this point.
It literally can. Rock Slide, one of the most dangerous moves in VGC, I think. It makes or breaks hearts across VGC. And Salamence packing it. It's already got one miss out of the way. Could that mean now that, you know, he's going to keep connecting them? He's got the bad luck gone. But it can be one of those moves that just, you know, you can win all the flinches here. It's not sheer force like his partner Nidoking there. You know, the flinches will still be happening if he's able to get them activated. Jen's really thinking his moves through here. But Salamence, no Rock Slides from it this turn. It's going to Protect. It's going to save its energy a little bit more so it can maybe fire them off. And goes for a Protect as well with the Nidoking. So just wants to go on the defensive. Brave Bird coming out from Braviary though, going into that Salamence as Kangaskhan does go for a Frustration, doubling up into that slot as it is clearly the threat here.
Yeah, so Jamie kind of reading into it a little bit. Jens was just scouting out what's going to happen. Jamie didn't go for the Sucker Punch pressure there. He might consider that this turn again. And we see that both of their times are running low. But we're going to come into these crucial turns right now. Which player is going to be able to call this correctly? And I think Jens' best out is probably just... Maybe he has to predict the Sucker Punch, if it's going to happen or not. And if you're Jens, you probably want to go for the Rock Slide again. Well,
he goes for Protect, gets the double here, which means Sucker Punch will not be happening, but I don't see it coming out. Braviary avoids Rock Slide once again, though. This Braviary is just dodging all of these rocks. Poor Kangaskhan, though, unfortunately is not able to avoid it and will be KO'd here, meaning Jamie will be forced to bring Tapu Koko back into the next turn, as Brave Bird this time tried to lock down into that Nidoking, so no Sucker Punch, interestingly enough.
Yeah, and no target into the Salamence. I was really sure that Jamie was just going to want to target down the Salamence, but he just doesn't do it again, and now this Nidoking, with the double Protect that he got off, just stays alive again, and that puts Jamie in a really awkward position here. And Jens is still with its Salamence. It's at +2 speed, so Tapu Koko should be faster in Tailwind. But a Dazzling Gleam shouldn't be doing too much damage to it. And it also really depends if it's going to be able to pick up the KO on this Nidoking or not.
Very true. I mean, Dazzling Gleam. I mean, Nidoking's so low. Dazzling Gleam should still be able to do enough, maybe. But it's all just going to come down to how these Pokemon are trained and how it's going to be affected. Nidoking as well, having got the double Protect, it's now probably going to have to go on the defensive, go on the offensive here a little bit. But Jens has done really well to kind of stall out this Tailwind a little bit of Jamie Dixon, just clicking Protect, as he's done again on the Salamence here. As Nidoking goes for a triple, doesn't quite get it though. Tapu Koko does go for the Dazzling Gleam, and now we are going to see if this will be enough. It could be a roll, could be a crit. It is not. Oh, it's just hanging on. I reckon that's on something like 1 or 2 hit points at the moment. But it does mean that Braviary is able to finish it up anyway with a Brave Bird into that Nidoking, just ensuring that it will be KO'd. Tapu Koko couldn't quite finish it up.
Yeah, it's a good play by Jamie. Didn't want to risk the potential survival there, so by not targeting the Salamence this turn, he makes sure that he gets rid of the Nidoking at least. But yeah, now the Tailwind has run out, and we have a Rock Slide Salamence. And I think at this point, Jens is basically hoping for a lot of fringes here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much it's going to do to this Braviary, but it might two-shot. It really depends on what kind of Braviary it is and how offensive the Salamence is. But it's just going for the return instead.
Yeah, it doesn't want to risk those Rock Slides at the moment on that Pokemon. It does a huge amount of damage and actually picks up the one-hit KO on that Braviary. As Tapu Koko goes for a Dazzling Gleam, single target. Will do some good damage, but it's not enough to pick up the KO here.
No, and I think a single target Rock Slide might now be enough on this Tapu Koko to pick up the KO. I think if Jens connects, of course. He's been really unlucky with his Rock Slides. But
it's only got one to hit now.
Yeah, he really needs only this one to hit now. And he's going for the return
going
instead.
for return, playing it safe. Don't think Jens trusts his Salamence at this point, but it is not enough.
Doesn't pick up the KO.
Surviving on 20 hit points as the Dazzling Gleam comes out once again. This will be able to pick up the KO. Jamie Dixon takes a game here in this top 8 set, making it 1 apiece, and we're going to have a game 3 here straight out the bat in top 8.
Yeah, what a great set. That really came down to the wire, and I think I just wanted to see from Jens there, just going for the rock slap maybe. But apparently he was kind of more...
He lost faith in Salamence.
Yeah, he had faith in Salamence that the return was going to be enough. But the Tapu Koko just living on about 20-15% of HP, and Jamie taking this game 2 in a really close fashion.
He really did. He's really pulled it back here. You know, game 1 didn't really go his way, particularly with that critical hit, and sometimes it can be... That can be the toughest part, is when you have something that's completely out of your control, completely sway a game. A critical hit, you can't train your Pokemon to do that no matter how much you tell them that you love them and you want them to make the crits for you. It doesn't work, unfortunately, that way. But, you know, Jamie did still manage to keep composed, and he managed to come back into that game, adjust his strategy, and played it really, really well. Yeah,
definitely. And this time it was Jamie that got a little bit of luck back again. We saw 2 rock slides miss from Jens' side onto Braviary, of which 2 of those probably should have picked up the KO, I think, the combination of the 2 rock slides. So a bit of luck in both games for both players there. So now in game 3, we're going to see who's going to be on top this time. And all of these, they have been so close, these games. And so I really think it's really hard to predict who's going to take this now.
It's going to be really close. I believe both trainers picked the same 4 Pokemon for games 1 and 2.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do the same thing again, actually.
Yeah, no changes you think they'd make up? Just
well,
radicalize
one thing that I might see is maybe the Rotom Wash against the Braviary, against the...
could get some Will-O-Wisps
potentially
off, maybe.
against the Landorus. Like it could have, and it could get Will-O-Wisp as well for the Kangaskhan. So there could be an adjustment for Jens that he maybe wants to make, because the Milotic, even though he got an Icy Wind off in game 2, it didn't do a whole lot of damage otherwise, and it's still really threatened by this Tapu Koko.
Exactly. Jamie managed to keep the pressure of Tapu Koko on in that game 2, but we're here, game 3 at the Sheffield Regional Championships. These players are fighting out for top 4, and their leads in the final game of the set is going to be Kartana and Milotic for Jens, whereas Jamie has gone for Braviary straight away here, paired up with Kangaskhan.
Yeah, so it looks like Jamie probably wants to go for Tailwind maybe this time, try to set up, and then maybe try to sweep from there. But Jens is just going for the same lead again as he did in game 2. So we see the Kartana and Milotic again, and we know that this is a Z-move Kartana, which threatens immediately the KO on this Kangaskhan. So Jamie really has to think about which one he's going to fake out. And it's probably going to be that Kartana, because the Milotic doesn't really want to go for an Icy Wind as well, because then you just boost up this Braviary. So if you're Jens, you're kind of in an awkward position here, because you can't switch in your Intimidate either, because you don't want to boost this Braviary.
Exactly, having that Braviary out on the field straight away is really, really good for Jamie. It's making Jens have to stay on his toes a little bit more. And if he does go for the fake out into that Kartana, he can maybe get up a Tailwind with Braviary as well. But Kartana, knowing maybe fake out's coming its way, goes for the Protect here, and we might see a double Protect. No, we don't. It's going to be just the one from Kartana. Fake out going into that slot, as Braviary does go for the Tailwind. So going to boost up the speed straight away on Jamie's side, and I wonder if he'll be able to utilize it a little bit better than he did in game 1, where Jens managed to play so defensively. Braviary having to take a Scald though, but no burn.
Yeah, so Jens was definitely playing for the burn there. His Milotic couldn't do a lot of damage otherwise, but against these 2 physical type attackers, Scald's still going to do damage, and you still have that 30% chance on a burn. But he doesn't get it this time, and that puts Jamie in an interesting position here, especially because the Kartana already protected. Because Braviary sometimes carries something like Superpower.
Yes.
So maybe a double up from Kangaskhan and Braviary into that slot. I don't think Jens has a lot of good switch-ins to that, especially because you don't want to boost this Braviary.
No, very true. And I want to know what the item is on this Braviary as well. Like we said earlier, we sometimes see the Flynium Z on it. Maybe something like a berry or just anything interesting would be quite cool to see. It hasn't been revealed yet.
No.
And as a player, you know, Jens would probably be wondering what the item is and having to work around it. It's still a mystery at this stage. He has to adjust his strategy based on assumptions. But Nidoking is jumping in. It is, however, it's going to be the Flynium Z, so Jamie deciding that Tapu Koko has had enough Gigavolt Havocking for one day, and he's bringing in the other Z move on his team, and Braviary's going to shoot up into the sky, and who do you think this is going into?
I assume this is going into the Kartana slot, because still the Milotic, even though it has that Scald pressure, it's not doing a lot of things otherwise, and if it is going into the Nidoking, that should be able to pick up the KO there. And that puts Jamie in such a good position, because I'm assuming that he has the Tapu Koko in the back, and Nidoking is basically the one big counter that Jens has against the Tapu Koko.
That
and he
was
just lost
huge.
it turn 2.
Yeah, Bravery, such a powerful Z move as well, coming off Brave Bird. And as you can see, the damage from that Kangaskhan as well, helped out by his little baby, takes Milotic right into berry range straight away. So now Milotic has that item taken away from it straight away. Milotic still going for the Scald, doesn't want to go for any icy wins here with Bravery on the field, and it still doesn't get the burn.
No, I think Jens really needed the burn at that point. We see how much damage this Kangaskhan does, because Jens doesn't want to intimidate it with the Bravery next to it. So and he has to switch in his Kartana again, and most Bravery carry something like Superpower. So we wouldn't be surprised if this one carries it as well. So Jens is just in such an awkward position at the moment, because he doesn't really have the speed control in terms of Tailwind, and he can't really go for Icy Wind either, because then he's just going to boost his opposing Braviary. So Jamie just leading very well in this game, and just getting rid of this Nidoking. And now, I think if you're Jamie, you're either going to read the Protect into Kartana and go for the double into Milotic, but it's probably the safest for you to just focus down everything next to this Milotic.
Exactly, particularly if you do have that Tapu Koko in the back, you know that can easily clean up Milotic later on in this game. But I think I love the adjustment from Jamie where he's just gone straight with the Bravery, keeping Tapu Koko in the back. Jens maybe predicting that he's going to keep the Tapu Koko out in front, constantly threatening that Milotic, but no, Jamie's going to save that maybe for the end game. We will have to see what's going on. Jens taking his time again, he's the one under pressure here in this game 3, switches out Kartana but brings in Salamence. So brave strategy here, he gets the Intimidate on Kangaskhan, which is great because we've seen the output that it can do, but Bravery is going to appreciate taking this 1 attack drop so that it can get a +2 attack boost. Now at +1, this Brave Bird is going to do a huge amount of damage.
Yeah, I think Jens was hoping for a Superpower into that slot, but he's just going for the Brave Bird, and that's going to pick up the KO. Milotic at +2.
Milotic's gone already.
At +1, I mean, and it's just gone, and Braviary still hangs on, and we see a Frustration into the Salamence slot, and that's still going to do a lot of damage because it didn't Mega Evolve yet. That takes it over half, and I think Jamie just is in such a good fashion now, taking this game free, and he just running over Jens at the moment.
This Bravery is really coming in strong for him in this game 3. A Pokemon we didn't see much yesterday. We're seeing so much of it being showcased here at Sheffield Regional Championships. It's now, you know, threatening more with the Brave Bird. It's got Kartana there as well that doesn't want to be taking any of those.
Yeah, and I think if you're Jamie now, what you probably want to do is maybe you want to go, because if you're Jens, you kind of have to double protect to stall out Tailwind. So if you're Jamie, maybe you want to bring in your Tapu Koko already to make sure that next turn you just can go for this Giga Volt, clean up either one of these 2 Pokemons. So if you're Jens at this point, I think you really have to make a really bold play. Maybe assume that Jamie does something like that and just not double protect at all. Maybe set up your own Tailwind if he has it on Kartana. But he needs something. He needs a big play to get back into this game here.
He certainly does. I mean, Jamie sadly doesn't have access to Gigavolt at the moment. It does have that Supersonic Strike already done.
Of course.
But Tapu Koko still has such a high damage output. You don't want to be taking Thunderbolts in electric terrain. Not Tapu Koko, Kartana is going for the Protect, as is Salamence. So just like you said, Rob, Jens is going to scout out what Jamie's going to do. And of course, he has access to that Sucker Punch. Bravery revealing that it does have the superpower that Jens was maybe fearful of previously. But even though Tailwind has now expired, Sucker Punch can potentially go into that Salamence slot.
Yeah, definitely. So an interesting part now is, if Jens has Tailwind on his own Kartana, he could just go for the KO onto Braviary with the Salamence, set up his own Tailwind, which could really put him back in the driver's seat again. And once he has the speed advantage, this Tapu Koko on Jamie's side isn't that threatening either, because he has the Grassium Z on his Kartana, to just one-shot that as well. So Jamie really has to think carefully about how he's going to play this endgame, because he started so well, but he still has to really think about...
It's not over yet.
No, it's definitely not over yet. Especially with these 2 big attackers on Jens' side still left.
And we know there's a Rock Slide in there as well, so it's certainly not over. You can never rule anything out when you know Rock Slide is in play. But if Kangaskhan potentially maybe even wanted to switch out so we can reset the Intimidate, knowing then Sucker Punch later on will be much stronger against that Salamence, that could always be an option. But instead, speaking of Z-moves previously, it's going to be the Bloom Doom once again from this Kartana. Surely this is going to go into that Kangaskhan.
Yeah, so it should be able to pick up the KO into Kangaskhan here, and that's what. And I'm assuming also maybe a return into, or maybe a Rock Slide or return into this Braviary here. And we're going to see how much damage this is going to do to this Kangaskhan.
This is one of the most beautiful Z-moves, but it's so devastating. All these flowers going down, attacking Kangaskhan, and it is enough to pick up the KO. So Kangaskhan will be KO'd in this game. I think this is the first KO Jamie has taken on his team. Kartana getting its Beast Boost up here, but of course Jamie's now technically free to bring in either Incineroar or Landorus and negate that, and negate the Dragon Dance boost attack stat that Salamence has just got.
Yeah, but I think Jamie predicted that, and he goes for the Brave Bird, and I'm assuming that this goes into Salamence, and if it does, that should be able to pick up the KO here.
Yeah, it's going to be so strong.
It does go into Salamence, and
And it does, picks up the KO against that Salamence. It did its little Dragon Dance, but unfortunately can't utilize anything from it. Bravery as well. It's put in so much work in this game 3 for Jamie Dixon. It deserves a rest.
Yeah.
KOs itself in recoil, but I think it's allowed to go, sit on the bench for a while, and leave Jamie free to bring in his last 2 remaining Pokemon.
Yeah, and we see the Choice Scarf Landorus, and I'm assuming that it's going to be Tapu Koko as well, as we see it here. And we see Jens already taking off his earplugs. He knows what's going to happen. And he knows that this Kartana is not going to be able to take the combination of a Gigavolt, of a Thunderbolt, and an Earth Power. So Jamie, just playing this set so well, especially like these last turns. We were talking about that there were still ways for Jens to come back into this game. But Jamie was just making sure, okay, his way to get back into this game is to set up himself, maybe Tailwind, maybe Dragon Dance. So I'm just going to double attack. I'm not going to allow him to do that. Even if he kills both of my mons, I still have my Tapu Koko, I still have my Choice Scarf Landorus in the back, so I should still be fine. He's not going to take any risk, just clicks attacks and just seals up the end game there. Well,
it's exactly what worked for him, so huge congratulations to Jamie Dixon. He is our first top 4 player here at the Sheffield Regional Championships, the last regional of the European circuit here, and it's going to be Jamie Dixon taking that. And commiserations to Jens as well. He played so dominantly in that game 1, got a little bit lucky with the critical hit, then a little bit unlucky with his Rock Slide misses in game 2, but he still played that so well, and bringing that Nidoking as well that we know he's so well versed with, he still played that incredibly. But the luck was there with Jamie Dixon today, and he managed to, like you say, change up his strategy and outmaneuver and just go on the offensive against Jens, who I don't think was expecting it.
No, I really liked the game 3 plan that he had. Just going for the Kangaskhan Braviary mode turn 1, trying to weaken the whole team of Jens, because most of his team was actually faster than Jamie's team. So just going for the Tailwind mode and also having a Braviary next to it, we made sure that he couldn't just switch in Salamence whenever he wanted. And Jens was still playing to his outs. He tried to get the Dragon Dance at some point, and he tried to go for the Scald Burns, which I think was at that point one of his outs. I didn't get it, unfortunately. So yeah, there was a bit of luck, but that's Pokemon for you.
That's why we play the game.
And with 2 Scalds, it's about a 50-50 that you're going to get to burn. So of course that's not always going to happen. But yeah, really well played by Jamie. And I especially like that he kept the Tapu Koko in the back this time.
Because
it's such a big Pokemon for him. Because we saw once Jens just kind of sacrificed his Nidoking, he had no electric switches anymore. None-resist at all. And from that point, I think Jamie just had the game. Yeah.
He certainly did, and we will be able to see Jamie later on in top 4. We will be jumping straight into another top 8 game. You can see the bracket here in front of you. We will next be showing Jonathan Evans versus Aurelian, and you know, these are a player, we didn't show Jonathan yesterday, but we did show Aurelian twice, so it'd be lovely to have him back on the stream. Unfortunately, we're going to have no interviews for top 8, as we just want to bring you all the action that we can. We're just going to stream 3 games, so we're not going to leave it any longer now. We're going to switch over the players, and we'll be right back, so don't go anywhere, trainers.